Welcome to the Home Buying Journey. I'm Todd, the Mortgage Captain, and you're listening to the right episode if you want to learn a little bit more about some historical data and how that may indicate that now is still a good time to purchase in the current housing market. With the rates being high and home values up, there's a lot of people that are sitting on the sidelines saying they're waiting, or they're giving other reasons why they're not ready to purchase. Today, we're going to break it down a little bit and talk about some of those reasons, and I'm hopefully going to point you in the right direction that now can still be a great time for you to purchase. Let's talk about how things are portrayed out there in the world. A lot of your information that you're going to be consuming through the media is going to talk about a lot of bad news in the housing market. You're going to hear a lot of things about high rates and home appreciation numbers are up, and talk about things that are going to go wrong or could go wrong. Basically, they're pointing the picture that the sky is falling. And I'm not saying that we are in a perfect world. Of course we're not, but it's not as bad as they're making it sound. And some of that goes to the media being the media, right? They have a job to do, and their job is to get eyeballs and clicks on their information. And so they want to make things very emotional so that way they can drive those eyeballs and clicks. But let's step back from some of that information being presented in that way and look at more accurate information, more facts and data to drive your decision if today or now is the right time for you to buy. So the MBA, the Mortgage Bankers Association, it's basically a trade industry group that represents bankers and lenders across the country, recently put out some stats that shows 2023 is going to be one of the top 4 or 5 best purchase money markets over the last 20 years. And most people wouldn't think that. But what that shows is that there is movement out there. People are buying houses. And so if there are that many people buying houses, it surely can't, on the surface, be a bad time to buy. And the converse should be true. It can still be a good time for you to buy. So in my position, there are 4 objections or reasons that I hear from potential buyers that seem to keep coming up, or if I don't hear them directly, I hear them from my lending partners like real estate agents. Real quickly, those 4 are going to be reluctance to give up their current low rate and move up. Number 2 is waiting on rates to drop. Number 3 is waiting on home prices to drop, or maybe a combination of 2 and 3. Number 4, a hesitancy for offering over asking price. All right, so let's look at the first objection that I'm hearing a lot right now. I don't want to move up because I've got a great rate and I don't want to pay a 7% plus or minus rate. It's still a good reason or a good opportunity to buy and move up right now, and here's why. The average homeowner has $274,000 in equity, and the average consumer or household, U.S. household, has $96,371 in consumer debt. That consumer debt, that can be student loans, car loans, credit cards, other installment loans. Some of them, like student loans, will have a really good interest rate, and that's fine. But others, with the Federal Reserve rate, overnight rate, being where it's at now, has really driven up these rates, especially for credit cards. So if you are in a situation where you have a lot of credit card debt, it's probably costing you a lot of money each month just to stay up with your minimum monthly payment. Furthermore, trying to be actually paying down your balance. So if you have the opportunity to cash in your equity, pay off your debt, and move up to the next house, that's a win. You're gonna lower your monthly payment, because with that much debt, that's several thousand, maybe as much as $5,000 a month or more in consumer debt. You're going to really free up a lot of cash flow and get yourself back into a comfortable position with your monthly payments. All right, now let's break down the second objection, which is I want to wait for rates to come down. I get it. Nobody wants to pay high interest rates. I get it. Nobody wants to pay high interest rates. Everybody wants to wait for rates to come down. But the thing is, we don't know if and when they're going to come down. We truly don't. I would like to tell you that they're going to start coming down soon and be down a lot in the next 12 months, certainly the next 24 months, but there is no guarantee. So for those individuals that are telling me they want to wait until interest rates come down 1%, that's just in my opinion, my professional opinion, not a really good decision. And here's why. On a $400,000 loan amount, and I use that because the average sale price in the United States now is $416,000. So if we use $400,000 as the loan amount, if you're waiting for rates to come down 1%, you are saving, if that happens, you're saving $265 a month. Or let's put it a different way. If you just choose to buy now at the higher rate instead of waiting for 6, if you just buy it at 7, that 1% difference, it's costing you $265 a month. That doesn't sound like a lot to me, but I get some of you out there might say that's a lot of money, and it still adds up to be a lot. Well, the reality is that's $3,180 per year. So let me explain where we're at right now. The average home appreciation in America is forecasted at 5.8%. So that means over the next 12 months, that's what it's expected to be. So on that $400,000 loan amount, that house is going to cost you about $23,200 more 1 year from today. And you're telling me you don't want to buy it now because you want to wait for rates to come down so you can save that $3,180. Or let's put it another way. If you go ahead and you buy right now and you pay that extra $3,180 today, in that year, you're going to gain $23,200 in appreciation. Subtract the extra interest costs of $3,180. You are still coming out ahead by $20,000 by buying now instead of waiting. So I don't know about you, but I'd rather be in a home and I'd rather start earning my appreciation on the house. Now, let's look at the third item, which is similar, and that's waiting for home prices to come down. And this, I think, is really fascinating. I think hopefully this will really open your eyes up a little bit. So since 1942, 73 times home values have appreciated year over year. 73 times since 1942, home values have increased. 7 times they have decreased, and I think one of those times was actually neutral. So if you're wanting to bet against home appreciation, you're likely going to lose. I mean, 73-7 is the record in favor of home appreciation. Now, some of you out there may be saying that we can't sustain this same appreciation that we've had in recent years. And I get that. So in 2020, appreciation was 10%. In 2021, it was 19%. And 2022 was around 6%. And 2023, as I said before, is at 5.8 is the forecast right now. So very similar to 6. So what I'm hearing from people out there is that we just can't sustain that. And because we've had such rapid appreciation, that home values have to come back down. We have to have somewhat of a crash in home values. But here's the thing. From 1943 to 1947, home values compounded in value 118%. So literally in 5 years, home values compounded 118%. And then they increased for 43 straight years. 43 years in a row, they increased after that big compounding period. And of course, the deniers out there are going to say, well, that was a fluke. Well, not really. From 1974 to 1979, home values appreciated, or I'm sorry, I should say it this way, compounded 93%. And then for 10 straight years after that, home values increased. It was only in the 11th year that they went down 1%. And after that, they went up for 14 years in a row. So it's not a fluke. And furthermore, I've had some people point out to me, what about the 2007 to 2011 period where home values took a dip? Yes, that's true. They did. But since 2012 to today, it's been 10 years of positive gains. So you're not likely to see home values drop. You're likely to see them continue to increase. And there's another reason, or actually a very solid reason for that. And that's because in most markets in the United States, and especially here in the Columbus, Ohio market where I live, we are sitting at low inventory. It's down 38% from 2019. So why this is important is when there's less inventory, there's less homes to purchase. So there's more competition, which drives up the offer prices. Therefore, home values go up. And this is not likely, this low inventory problem isn't likely to go away. And this is because there's one major component coming, or main issue that's going to start popping up, and that has to do with millennials. So U.S. News and I think it was Bank of America did a survey together. They interviewed millennials, and they found that 67% of millennials, so that would translate to 72 million millennials, want to be in the market to buy a home in the next 12 to 24 months. That's a lot of people getting ready to buy a home. So that's going to drive up that demand. It's going to continue to drive up offer prices, therefore home values. So if you're waiting for home values to drop, I strongly encourage you to reconsider, because it's not likely. And even if we did have a slight drop from one year to the next, it's likely to rebound pretty quickly, and you'll start to see that appreciation come back in a real short time. And so now let's talk about the fourth objection, which is the hesitancy to pay over ask. Look, I'm like everybody else. I don't want to pay more for something than I need to, and I certainly don't want to pay more for something than what I think it's worth. And the same is true for buying real estate or buying your home. I get that. But let's try to tie this all together and go back to the data instead of getting caught up in misinformation and emotion. So if you look at the data, I've already explained to you, on a $400,000 house, you're going to gain $23,200 in the first 12 months of owning your home. So if you have to pay $15,000 over asking price to get into your house now, you're going to gain it back in less than a year. So the question I have for you is, do you risk paying more now to get the house now instead of waiting? The answer for me is yes. If I wait a year, I'm going to pay the same price because appreciation is going to be up. If not, it could be worse. So what I mean by worse is, think about it from this perspective. Right now, we know that we're on track for 5.8% appreciation. So on a $400,000 house, $23,200. If you wait a year, that's what you're going to pay. But what if, because of the factors I've mentioned, appreciation goes to 10% instead of 5.8? Well, now you're going to pay $40,000 more for that same house. So in my professional opinion, I wouldn't hesitate to pay an amount over ask. Of course, I wouldn't go crazy with it, but I wouldn't be afraid to do it, knowing that I'm going to get appreciation back over time. Remember, the three things that are in play here: 73 times the market has grown instead of declined since 1942. The inventory is going to be a challenge in the future, and rates don't matter as much as you think. They truly don't. So in closing here, what I want you to remember is that you can't control a lot of things. You can't control what interest rates do, what happens to inventory levels, what happens to home prices, whether there's a recession, whether inflation comes back down or not. None of that. You can't control that. What I want you to remember is that you can control how you reach a decision whether now is the right time to buy or not. I'm hoping you walk away from this with a better understanding of some of the history involved here, along with some of the current numbers, to make a really good decision, which for most people, I believe now is the right time to buy. And lastly, if you're not sure what you really want to do, or if it's the right decision for you, the best thing to do is to reach out. You can schedule a discovery call with me. I'll walk you through it. We'll talk a little bit more in depth about your specific situation or scenario. And then I can help you kind of paint that picture to either confirm or not whether it's the right time. If it's the right time, great. If it's not, I'll tell you that. But right now, for most people that are considering buying a home, these reasons for waiting are not really good reasons. And the best advice I have is to move forward. Okay, let's take a quick break for a shameless plug. When we come back, I'm going to bring on a realtor here in the Columbus market. We're going to continue this conversation a little bit about these objections, but I also want you to meet this realtor. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. I am here with Joshua Travis, a real estate agent here in the Columbus market. Thanks for joining us, Joshua.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Now, what brokerage are you at with now here in Columbus?
I am with Remax Apex in Lithopolis.
Okay, fantastic. That'd be the southeast quadrant of the city, right?
Correct.
Okay, awesome, fantastic. Now, you and I were just talking just about a week or so ago about folks waiting for rates to come down, which is what I talked about in the previous segment, how there's a lot of people that are waiting for rates to come down instead of buying now. What are your thoughts on that? When people tell you, hey, I'm interested in buying a house, but I think I really just want to wait until rates come down another %.
Yeah, so I mean, with me, that's absolutely fine. You guys can wait until the rates come down. But the fact is, once the rates come down, more people are going to be looking to buy houses. So the prices are just going to increase. So you may be getting a lower rate, but you're still going to be paying, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30,000 over list price for a house.
Yeah. Yep. Which is what we talked about I talked about in the prior segment. Now, where are you from originally?
So originally, I am from the west side of Columbus, so the Hilltop area.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now, since I've known you, you've talked a lot about how you've kind of grew up a little bit in the Whitehall area too. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. So after I was about 5 years old, I moved to Whitehall, and I've went to school my whole life in Whitehall. So I've spent most of my life in Whitehall.
Okay, so you obviously have a great understanding of that community and the surrounding communities.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, tell us, how long have you been a real estate agent?
So I have been a real estate agent for about 1.5 years now.
Okay, so you're a relatively new agent, which isn't a bad thing. It leads to some real good positives, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But first, what motivated you to become an agent?
So my last job motivated me to become an agent. Man, it was really tough. I was getting yelled at all the time, and I was like, this isn't what I want to do. And I kind of wanted to control my own schedule and just be able to do my own thing. And I think real estate is what allowed me to do that.
Okay, awesome. Now, in your short time as an agent, what's the biggest lesson that you've learned?
The biggest lesson I've learned is you got to stay on people. If you don't stay on people and you're not there to talk to them and just kind of stay on them, you won't get it. You won't get them.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing, is making sure you follow up with people and really staying connected.
Okay, so you've obviously learned that lesson. So obviously to stay in touch with people and have that great communication. And I know I've worked with you on a couple of deals already, and I've seen that myself. So obviously a great lesson that you learned so far. But I want to go back a little bit to my prior segment now, when I talked about people also waiting for home prices to come down. And you kind of touched on this just a moment ago. But are you getting that response from anybody currently that are saying, hey, I think home prices are going to come down?
So yeah, I've had a couple people, but mainly they're waiting for the interest rates. But even if they were waiting for home prices to come down, realistically, I don't see that happening. Within the next 5 to 10 years, I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, I don't either, and I think the Columbus market in general just has so many pressures or forces on the supply side being low, with the demand side being high, that the home prices are gonna stay up there. So in terms of the market and home values and prices, what are you seeing? Are you seeing them holding right now? And I guess I should state to our listeners, we're recording this podcast episode the third week of October. So at this point, are you seeing home prices hold their value, decrease, increase? What are you seeing out there?
So as of right now, home prices are just continuing to grow as of what I've seen. Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Now, a lot of times, people will have perceptions about real estate agents or realtors, and a lot of times these things are really just they're myths. They heard something from somebody that really wasn't true, and sometimes it grows legs and becomes bigger than what it really was meant to be. What can you give me an example of a myth that you've run into, either that you've just learned on your own or you've caught or heard from clients or potential clients that you know is a myth out there and that we want to get the record straight?
So I guess one of the biggest myths or stigmas kind of around real estate agents is they're cucks. They don't really do much, and they just kind of want you for your money. And I will say, some people out there, you definitely could find that, but with most agents out there, we're there to help you. So I just don't think that's true at all.
Yeah. Now, if someone listening, says, "Hey, I think I want to become an agent too." Since you've just gone through this, what's some advice that you can share, some positive advice that you can share with them as they embark on that journey?
So some advice that I wish I would have known sooner, or just wish I would have done some more exploring. I wish I would have went out and interviewed for more brokerages, just to see the type of training and stuff that they had. Because training as a new agent is very important. It's a tough industry to get into. There's a lot of top producing agents out there, and they do a lot of the transactions out there. So it's hard getting into an industry. So you want to make sure, you're the best you can be.
Back to you for a quick moment. What sets you apart? So if we have someone out there listening right now that's thinking about buying a house or maybe listing a house, and they're hearing you talk and they like what they hear, let's try to summarize here. What is it about Joshua Travis that sets you apart from other agents, or what qualities do you bring to the table that'll be helpful and make a difference for any potential clients?
So as you guys know, I've been an agent for about 1.5 years now. So I'm relatively new. But all that means is that I will work harder than any other agent will. I mean, just straightforward. I will spend more time, with you or on your contracts or whatever it needs to be, because I have that time. A lot of agents, they don't have that time. So I'm willing to work harder and spend more time, on you than any other agent will.
Okay, that's great. Now, if they do want to reach out to you, what's the best method for them to contact you?
If anybody wants to reach out to me, you can reach out to my Instagram, @JoshuaTravis_realtor, or my phone number, 614-774-7844.
Great. And we will also post that in the description here with the podcast episode, so you can track it down there as well. Well, Joshua, really want to thank you for coming in today. I really appreciate you coming in and answering some of these questions, and I wish you the best of luck in this real estate market.
Thank you so much, Todd. I appreciate having me.
All right, and that wraps up another episode here today. If you want to reach out to me for any help, obviously you can look at that information in the description as well. I'm happy to chat with you about anything you want. If you want, you can schedule a discovery call with me. We can review things. But feel free to reach out to me about anything that is on your mind. Thanks for listening.